Hi, my name is Kyle Ness with Real Living Ness Brothers Real Estate. I appreciate you taking a few minutes to watch this brief video on how we market properties with a specific emphasis on previously marketed or unsold properties, such as possibly your own. My goal through this video is to show you some surefire techniques to drive traffic to your property and expose it to ready, willing, and able buyers, as well as position the property in a way that elevates it amongst the competition so that realtors notice it, so that we can ultimately, or you can ultimately, get the property sold for the most amount of money in the least amount of time. The reason I'm doing this is twofold. One is that I've grown up in this business, I live and breathe real estate, I've done it for a long time, and fortunately, I really enjoy doing things that I'm good at. And number two is I genuinely enjoy helping other people solve problems and navigate this process. It's not something that people do every day, and when I provide that value to people, it makes me feel good. It's a huge part of my self-image and my identity, probably more than it should be, but I really enjoy that process and that part of it as well. Another reason I do this is that it's a great tool for me to get to know people, to provide value, and oftentimes they then contact me to help them with their property. Some of my best clients are people that have had previous experiences with other agents, and I've been able to help them achieve their goals. They become raving fans. They insist that their friends, family, neighbors use me, and the lifetime value of those people is phenomenal. If you're interested in more information, my rates run from 3 to 7%. Get a hold of me when this is over. That being said, no part of this process, no part of this video you're about to watch is a sales pitch. My goal is simply to provide content and value, and if you feel good about that value, you can get a hold of me. There's no pitch in disguise. There's no secret hook at the end. That's all that there is. That being said, I have to be totally clear and transparent. I cannot help everyone. I do not want to help everyone. Here's the three kickers. One, you have to be an owner-occupant. If you're not an owner-occupant, please don't contact me. I'm not here to work with investors, property flippers, landlords. It's not my bag. Number two is you have to have a legitimate desire to sell the property. If you're not willing to prepare the home for market, to accommodate showings, don't genuinely want to sell, I'm not here for that scenario either. You're not eligible for this process. And then lastly is if you're in foreclosure, if you're behind in payments, if you're in the middle of declaring bankruptcy, unfortunately that's not a category that I can accommodate as well. That being said, my goal is just to tell you a little bit about Ness Brothers, a little bit about myself, and then really spend some time getting into how we market properties, kind of going through the toolbox of the different tools that we use to successfully navigate the process and help people achieve their goals. Thanks. Okay, we're going to dive right in here. Ness Brothers started by my grandfather, Joe, over 50 years ago. He's the guy in the middle. My father, Kurt Ness, opened up the office in Allen County in about 2000, 1999, somewhere in there. And right now, my father's uncle, Steve, on the far left, he manages the Huntington office. So those are the three, so to speak, founders of the company. A little bit about me. I'm fortunate to be the president of the Upstate Alliance of Realtors, which is the Realtor Association serving Northeast Indiana. We have about 1,200 members, and it's been an honor and a privilege to go through this process. I'm obviously third-generation realtor. I'm one of the few people in the area that's been endorsed by Dave Ramsey. If you're not familiar with him, he is a Christian financial counselor that is nationally syndicated on television and radio. I'm also in the top 5% of agents in our area based on production and sales volume. Also heavily involved with the United Way's Real Men Read program, as well as Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Always like to tell people that I'm in this business with both feet. There's no Friday paycheck. If I'm not selling real estate, I'm not bringing home money. And these are the family behind me that I'm working for that support me. I've got a wife and 3 kids, and if I don't get the job done, there is no safety net. So these are the people that I come home to at night and my inspiration, so to speak. So the million-dollar question is, how do we get the most money for the property and do it in the least amount of time and conveniently as possible? Well, in order to get the most money, we have to find that one person out there that is going to be most interested in this specific product. So I like the analogy of a fishing tournament. You know, if we were in a fishing tournament and our goal is to catch the biggest fish, we know that the bigger net we can throw, the more fish we can catch, the better our chances of walking away with the biggest fish. So in real estate, we can't throw a net. What we do is we create maximum market exposure by exposing the property to as many people as possible so that we can find that one person. I'm a big numbers guy. Every year I'll sell 60 to 70 homes, and I can tell you that the homes that I sell will sell on average of about 1% more than the average agent in our association. So that comes out to be real money in your pocket at the end of the day. In order to do that, what I have to do is look and see, where do buyers come from. There's three big horses in the race, so to speak. Real estate agents, the internet, and yard sign are where most people learn about the home that they ultimately buy. Now that being said, we're not neglecting these other areas, open houses, print advertising, homes magazines, etc. But the majority of the emphasis is on the horses that are the most effective. So what we do is we look at each opportunity and say, how can we squeeze every bit of juice from that piece of fruit as possible? Mobilizing the real estate community, leveraging the internet, getting everything we can out of the signage. That's what we're really here to focus on, as well as open houses, also print advertising I'll touch on as well. The key to getting this done is by using guerrilla marketing. It's a term that's been around for a while, and what it essentially means is using unconventional methods to promote a product in a way that flies under the radar and gets noticed. The environment that we live in today is so saturated with advertisements and solicitations that you can have the best home on the street, in the neighborhood, and in the area, but if nobody knows about your home because they're just so cluttered, then at the end of the day it doesn't do any good. So what we have to do is take the product and expose it in a way that actually gets noticed. In order to do that, a lot of times you have to set yourself apart from the crowd and kind of fly underneath the radar. Okay, what I want to do is to go in and address each of these tools in the toolbox. Now, that being said, a lot of these, such as direct mail, incentives, automation, syndication, each one I could spend a lot of time talking about. There's multiple facets and multiple levels of most of these, but for the sake of time and for the sake of attention spans like mine, what we're going to do is go through each one briefly. And if you want more information, feel free to get a hold of me. We can dig deep. But for this video, for the purposes herein, we're going to just touch on them briefly. So for instance, direct mail. There's a multitude of ways to do direct mail. Direct mail is never going away. It's a really effective tool. Ironically, a lot of people don't understand that, but it truly is. Catalogs are never going to go away. People like to see and touch things, and getting it in their hands where they will see and touch it is 10 steps ahead of most internet marketing. Speaking of which, stealth marketing is incredibly good to work in conjunction with most of these aspects here. Marketing in a way that flies underneath the radar, that people don't realize that they're being marketed to, or marketing to them in a way that doesn't look like typical branding and advertising, is extraordinarily effective. If you can't do this, nothing else probably matters. Understanding how viewers are absorbing the media and processing the media being the homes book, the direct mail, the internet, the whatever it is, how they are looking at it. The way that we market a property online is not the way that we market a property on flyers. The pictures that we use are different. The way people are consuming that media is different. And keeping this in context is terribly important. Collaboration. This is dear to my heart, being the president of the Realtor Association. There's agents that I've had a great opportunity to come to know. We compete with each other, but we cooperate with each other 10 times more than we compete. And having these relationships and knowing which agents work win-win, which agents have a different philosophy, which agents, I know that it's going to be a battle, so I have to come in with a different perspective, is incredibly important. This is not something you get out of the textbook. This comes from years of experience and having the relationships, knowing the culture. Social media is the craze. It's all the new rage. The way that I like to use this tool is not to hammer information down people's throats to the point that they become deaf, but using it to effectively put it in front of the people that are most receptive to it. I'll just leave it at that. Syndication. Okay, so everybody is syndicating on the internet. You put the property on one website and they're shooting out to 30 other websites. That being said, you really have to understand the intricacies of this, not just throw it on a website and get it out on a bunch of them, but understand which websites are the most trafficked, understand how they extract data from the multiple listing system, understand how all those pieces fit together. The gorilla in the marketplace, Realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia, these are the sites that are dominating the internet landscape. And understanding how they work is really important. Telephone marketing. My grandfather built his business on telephone marketing. Jim Rohn, if you're a big business book reader, Jim Rohn is known to have said, beware of anybody that offers new fundamentals. And I think he's exactly right. Telephone marketing, yard signs, these are the fundamentals of real estate that never go away. Being able to effectively utilize and leverage those fundamentals is powerfully, powerfully important. Automation. What we do is we use automation, we use technology to leverage these fundamentals. Obviously, you're watching this video. I'm not sitting here in front of you. You've got the opportunity to consume this information on your time frames, at your convenience, at your will. Using the automated tools is very powerful, and that covers a lot of different areas as well. Photographic enhancements. When I first got into real estate, this is something I always really enjoyed. Now there's people here that do a lot better job than I ever could because they've got more time to do it. Understanding the photographs, people will literally come to your home or not come to your home based on the pictures they see. So 3 things in brief. Understanding how to take the photos, staging the picture for a photo in a way that's going to make sense, in a way that most people are going to consume it. Number 2, having the right equipment to take the right photos. Number 3, having the right software to touch up those photos, make the colors a little bit more vibrant, make the grass pop, make the sky a little bluer. These are good tools because people will literally come to your home or not come to your home based on the photos. They're not looking at the room measurements initially. The room measurements aren't going to kill the deal unless it's horrific. The photos will. Business-to-business partnerships. We have the privilege of having association with Brookfield Relocation. Real Living Real Estate is owned by Brookfield Global, which owns Brookfield Relocation. The best buyers in the world are those that their boss tells them they have to come to the area, they have to buy a house in order to get the benefits of selling their last house and their relocation incentives. Speaking of incentives, there's a variety of ways, again, to apply this tool. Buyer incentives, buyer agent incentives. If a buyer is going to go look at 5 different houses, that are all relatively the same, how can we make your property stand out? Incentivizing that buyer, incentivizing that agent are very effective tools to help that happen. Reverse prospecting is a great one. The tool is buried deep within the software. A lot of people aren't familiar how to do this, but essentially reverse prospecting is finding the buyers that are looking for a product that like the one that we have and pushing the information to them as opposed to waiting for them to come consume it. So it's just reversing the prospecting process. It's a good tool, a little bit tricky. Not a lot of people have a grasp of it. To be honest with you, it took me a while to really grab it, but now we've totally embraced it. Print advertising, this is something that is just extraordinarily neglected by the real estate community as a whole. One thing I can promise you, aside from death and taxes, and there's very few things I can promise you, but one is that if the horse isn't running in the race, it'll never win. And if people neglect print advertising, if they never use it, then it's one tool that will never produce the buyer. I don't know which tool will produce the buyer, but I know the more that we use, the more horses we have running in the race, the better our chances of getting you the victory and getting you the most money for your property. This is something, lastly, company-wide collaboration. This is probably going to strike you as a little bit odd, but most people don't truly understand how real estate companies, how the real estate model works. One advantage that we have that is a huge advantage is we actually come together for weekly sales meetings. They used to do this all the time. Now it's gone. Is we bring everybody together, we talk about the properties we have for sale, we get other people's perspectives, we get other opinions on who that buyer pool is most likely to be, how we can effectively market to them, how do the pictures look, anything that we should have done different, anything to keep in mind for the future. The more sets of eyes we have on that property, the better. Any new listing that we get, we bring before the office, and then on a regular basis we review all listings. So that if you and I are talking or you and I are looking at a house and somebody calls about another property, the agent isn't just looking at a stat sheet. Half the time the buyers know more than the agents do because they've done more research. This allows us to overcome those scenarios and provide more value. My goal here is to provide good content. If I can provide good value and good content. So in conclusion, here's a little bit more information about me, how to get a hold of me. If you have any questions about the material we covered, if you'd like me to meet with you and talk more about how we can specifically apply these tools to your property, get a hold of me, call, text, email. Also on the top right of the screen, you can hit the Contact Us button. That message comes directly to me. I'll follow back up with you. If we do decide to sit down and talk more and you feel that there's been a total waste of your time and I'm not able to provide high value content, just say the word. I'll walk away and cut you a check for $50. Worst case scenario, you're being paid $100 an hour for your time. That's how confident I am that the material that we have and we provide will sell itself. I'm not in the convincing business. If I do a good enough job showing people the tools that we bring to the table, everything else kind of clicks into place. But again, that being said, do not contact me if you're an investor. Do not contact me if you're not willing to make a legitimate, good faith effort to sell the property. And do not contact me if you're behind in mortgage payments, in foreclosure, bankruptcy, anything along that. Unfortunately, you're ineligible for this product. That being said, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this, and God bless.